Aquarius 9, a flag turned into an eagle. A flag is a representation of a group of people, specifically a nation, typically. Not always. And that group of people share something. Possibly a geographical location is implied, if it's a nation, but it's much more than that. Each country has its own way of being and its own sense of the relative importance of certain values, such as personal security on the one hand against personal opportunity on the other hand. And when we're talking about a flag being turned into an eagle, the eagle is the hunter, a violent hunter, whose task is to see what others cannot see and take what it wants. So it supports right-wing politics, the eagle, whereas the flag is more a sense of collective government. The person who channeled this, L.C. Wheeler, was an American, and so the eagle is associated with America. You might well think that the vision that she had was of the American flag and the American eagle and so on. And this is worthy of study because here we have an example where the birthing of America in the first place was in order to escape colonial domination, a noble cause. And yet, as that tied the group together into a very productive unit, a couple of hundred years later, you have a situation where you've got eagle power in the world. And the risk that goes along with that when you become the most powerful force is that you're going to abuse that power. You're going to take more than is really okay. Now, on a personal level, we have to interpret this as our allegiances. The flag represents our allegiances. We are allied to various social institutions. The first, of course, is the family. And then you might think your employer or your social group or your political affiliations or your sports club or whatever. We tie ourselves to groups in order to experience allegiance and share our values with others in order to learn what they are, to deepen them, and to strengthen our sense of the difference between what we are, who we are, especially as a group, and the other. Now, the other can be a force against which we must defend. And this is where the eagle image is very strong, especially in the American sense, that this ability to defend against potential intrusion is very strong in the eagle, very strong in the Americas, in the American flag, and very strong in certain other forces in the world. And yet, of course, it can lead to excesses. So look at yourself in this regard. Do you find yourself aligning with a flag, your local group or whatever, in order to strengthen your own position in life, which then gives you a certain power, a certain influence? And you might wonder to yourself whether that influence is properly attended to, whether you use it properly or you abuse it, whether you take advantage of your position of alignment with a group in order to claim influence where it's really bullying. And I'm reminded of a situation I had. I did Friends Reunited at some point where all our schoolmates got together 30, 40 years later or whenever it was. And I met a man there who knew me at school, and I didn't remember him. But he said he used to avoid me. And I said, well, why was that? He said, well, because you were part of the rugby team and the sportsmen and so on. And you sportsmen used to gather together, and those of us that weren't into sports, we avoided you guys. Because we didn't know at the time. We were children, I suppose, without a lot of wisdom, but we had formed this group of powerful people. We had the power of a group. We were the strong force because we were a group within our school. And I didn't know that I was perceived as a potential bully. I don't think I was a bully, but there were guys who were not sportsmen that were wary of me because I was a sportsman. So this is an example of in personal life where you might not know that the impact you're having on another person is not what you would want. I was not ashamed exactly, but disappointed that I had caused somebody else to feel uncomfortable around me. And it also led me to the idea that I might not have the consciousness of the impact I have on other people. They might think, because I'm a member of this group nowadays, I'm to be treated very carefully because they don't trust the group. Nothing to do with me anymore. It's the affiliations that I'm making that they're reacting against. And we do see this in the world today. We see this in the world today as minority abuse. We tend to align with our racial type, our religion, our social class, and we don't really behave towards those outside of those groups with the same level of care and attention as we do within our own group. And this is okay, I suppose, on a social level. It's normal, it's what happens everywhere, so we can't really stop that. But if we are progressing spiritually, then we have to widen our sense of our group and align with the greater sense of being human. And that's our flag. We're humans, and a part of the group humanity is a part of that value system is to care for others in our group. And that group is every person alive. And we could extend it even further. We could align with life, any life form. And this is what the Buddhists do. Any life form is a part of our group because we're alive. And we could go beyond that and take it into the cosmic realms. Everything that exists is a part of who we are because we're all aspects of God. And when we move into that level of self-awareness, we find that the eagle image is a dangerous one. This is our power, our clear-sightedness, our clarity of mind. It's quite often the case that when you're clear-minded and sharp of ambition and self-confident in your power, when you're like that, those who are not like that would be timid, intimidated by us. And so the power that we have has to be elegantly presented to the world. We have to use finesse, not a bludgeoning power punch, but the power of charisma, the power of charm and persuasion, maybe, not too far in that direction. But if you can't resolve a situation otherwise, then you can use charm. If you can just allow it to be and just hold yourself still, peaceful, and allow a situation to unfold with the minimal amount of input, then that's a very beautiful and peaceful way of living. So I think the flag and the eagle together represent the truth of having to come to terms with a hard life. And life is hard at some point, and perhaps for some people mostly. And we have to come to terms with that. So we form our allegiances and we develop our eagle power of clarity and the ability to take what we want. And yet, as we move forward spiritually, the difference between these two aspects of our being must soften, really. And we start to identify our eagle vision and our eagle power as our own self-determination, we turn the eagle inwards. We look with an eagle eye at who we are. We're honest about that. We're almost ruthless in terms of self-examination. In terms of outer examination, we're actually compassionate. So everyone else in the world, we remember the flag that we're under, the flag of humanity. But looking at ourselves, we look with eagle eyes, and we're very cautious to root out any imperfections of our being, quite ruthlessly. You can't accept imperfection if you're moving forward spiritually. There will always be imperfection, but you can't accept it. You must move to reduce it.